So I said in my Chopping Mall video I wanted to watch Slaughter High, which is also part of this 8-movie set. So I finally did just watch Slaughter High, which I was really anticipating to watch because I thought it would be like Chopping Mall, where it would be really fun. And for the most part it is. And I'll get to why I didn't think it was as fun and entertaining as Chopping Mall. But I'll get to that when I get to it. And it's really the ending is what I'm saying, but I I'm gonna talk about this movie kind of like I do with most movies and how I do it in order and what I liked and didn't like about it. So whenever it opens, Slaughter High, I liked the fact that you felt so much for this character, for Marty, this nerdy character who just wants a girl, and this girl Carol, like you don't realize what the big picture is until you see it happen on screen, but Carol's like, let's go have sex in the girls' locker room. And then he goes in there and he's like, I don't know because I feel like we're going to get caught. And then he goes in there. All of these friends of theirs start slowly, quietly coming in and they're laughing like they're going to get him. They're going to mess with him. And then he takes off all his clothes, jumps out naked, and then they take a picture of him. And they spray him. And then they put his head in a toilet. And fuck these people. Man, that is a horrible fucking thing, and I felt immediately bad for this character. This geeky character, I felt so horrible for him. And I don't condone, like, murder, but this is a movie where it's gonna happen, and I liked how far and despicable these people were to make this guy become a murderer and murder all of them. And after they throw him in the toilet, then after that, they go and they sabotage what he's making in science class, and then acid falls down from a bottle off of a shelf and disfigures him. And again, fuck these people. These people are horrible. Like, man, just... But it's really great how the movie does that. It makes these people immediately really unlikable. And it makes this character sympathetic in a way. Like, you really do feel bad for him. I felt so much for this character. Really felt awful, like how he dealt with all this shit. He didn't do anything wrong, and I felt like I hate whenever movies do that. I'm gonna say I hate it, but I don't hate it in a way that makes the movie bad. I just hate it in a way where it makes me feel anger, which I like a movie that can make me do that. So again, fuck these people. They're horrible. But I thought that it then cuts to like 10 years later, and Carol, who's now like this, I don't know what it said. It did say she's like a modeler, but like there's this porn star producer that's like trying to get her to be in this porno, but she's like, no, I won't do that because and he's like, well, why is it so different than doing it on magazines and stuff? And she didn't really give a good answer to that, but I like how it immediately cuts to 10 years later. And the reason why she's talking to this porn producer only is here to state the fact that she says to him, I'd rather go to my crummy class reunion than be in your movie, which is, I guess, fine, just showing that they put that in there on purpose just to edge us in to go, oh, it's 10 years later and oh, there's a class reunion. So I guess that was okay, but I thought it was funny that the producer had a poster for the movie Pieces, which I still haven't seen. It's a horror movie I want to see really bad, but I saw that poster and I'm like, that stands out in my mind immediately because I know what that is. I've seen that poster before. It looks really awesome. But I just thought that was a funny little note. Yeah, it skips to 10 years later, and then it shows her, and then it shows all these other couple people who are in the prank just going ready to do their reunion, and then they get there, and then they realize that nobody's there, and they're like, oh, did somebody forget to, like, do this? Like, did somebody lie to us? And you obviously know, like, it's Marty, like, he sent those certain people invitations to go to the class reunion, but it's not real. It's just sent them there just to have them slaughtered. And I liked how dumb they were. They were just like, oh, I don't get it. Like, where's everybody? Like, I thought that was funny, but it cuts to that. And then they go into the school, which is abandoned for the most part, except for a couple rooms which are lit up and have decorations, like for the like for what it would be. But I liked whenever they go in this dark room. There's one girl who encounters a guy in a hockey mask. Jason Voorhees looking hockey mask, and then the Friday the 13th music plays, and then I was thinking, oh, that was a clever little nod to Friday the 13th. But then as the movie went along, the whole score was Friday the 13th. Specifically part 5, A New Beginning. They used a lot of sound from that movie. And then I paused the movie because I kept getting more and more like wondering what is going on. Like, why is there Friday the 13th music? Paused the movie, went online. Harry Manfredini, who did most of the Friday movies, scored this. Used a lot of the scores from them because he didn't. I don't know if he had enough time or money, or they had money to do it. So he literally just used a lot of the score from the Friday movies. That was really funny, and I don't know what to think about that. I don't know if I should feel like cheated because it's not a Friday movie, but I like the Friday music so much. So especially part 5. So I guess that's not. I don't know. I'm mixed on that, but that was a weird thing to have in the movie. That was really strange to show, or to have that type of music, and it's immediately apparent. Like right whenever it starts, I'm just like, wow, okay. There was one score at the beginning that is not Friday the 13th, which is the main theme of the movie, I guess. But everything else is Friday the 13th. And just really the score was so much part 5, A New Beginning. That was just so funny. But besides the score, I'll go into, besides the rest of the plot, there's not much plot. It's a horror movie, but it's really fun with the kills. The kills are great in this movie. There's one where this guy drinks something, and then his stomach starts getting bigger, and like something's moving in his stomach, and then his intestines literally blow out because I think it's like acid or something. I don't know what, it's something in his stomach, but like it blows out. And then like there's a guy, which this is a kill that was done later in like Halloween 6, but I thought that was cool in this movie too. It was quicker, but like the janitorial guy, and now like the guy who like watches over the school, he gets picked up and impaled with a hook through his head and just sits there. And they did that in Halloween 6, but I thought that was funny that they did that first in this movie, and I realized that watching this, like, it's not the first time they did it. And then, like, they had really fun kills in this movie. The kills really did surprise me a lot. There's a lot of, well, I mean, in a way it didn't, because there's a lot of impalements, which are, you know, a typical trope in horror movies. And then there's one where this girl, like, gets boiled, like, in a freaking bathtub where she can't get out, and she just boils to death and like just melts. That was cool and really crazy. And then there's a guy like with a motor on top of him where the Marty dressed up is like, he takes the stand off of him, so then the motor falls down on him, and then he cuts his wrist open, and then he splatters. That was fun, and that was silly. Like, the kills are really good, and for the most part in this movie, I think they're all pretty much fun, even if some of them are simple like impalements, but I thought it was fun. And then the couple getting shocked in bed during sex, that was a fun way of changing up that trope. I thought that was really funny. And then the ending gets more and more like Friday the 13th. Like, this is so much like that. I'm just like, wow, okay. With the score and with the way that these dead bodies are found, some just like are hanging up in the air like they do in the Friday movies, and like just running around finding more bodies. It's literally like staged the same way. That's so funny. I don't know what to think about that. I don't think it's a terrible thing, but I'm like, it's just really cheap. But this movie is obviously cheap. It looked very cheap anyways, and I bet it didn't take much to make this movie at all. But I did like the Carol, who's the last person left, has an axe. Somebody walked around the corner, it's the last other person alive. She axes him in the face. And I'm like, wow, I felt terrible for her, because she actually she thought she got the killer, but then she would have made it out with another person, but she got the other guy that was there with her. That sucked in a good way. Like, I just felt bad for that. Like, she literally murdered somebody. And then it ends where it all began, in the girls' locker room. She goes in there. Then Marty goes in, takes his mask off, laughs at her, and impales her. But then this is my negative. This is where the movie goes really weird. It's the last, like, 2 minutes of the movie. So everybody's dead, and then Marty walks into another room, and then all these characters are ghosts, and they try to grab him, and then he wakes up right after the incident at the beginning of the movie where he has bandages on his head, and then he kills a nurse, and another guy from the hospital walks in. The nurse is him, like he's dressed up as a nurse, and then you realize that he's going to go do what he was going to do. But so everything was pointless, and he's going to do it now in real life. But everything was a dream up till then. That was a weird ending. I don't know if I cared for that. That knocked the movie down a peg for me, because I'm like, that you could have just ended it with them dying. That's it. And then he got his revenge. But you had to do it to where he woke up and they were all like ghosts and tried to get him, and then he woke up from that, and then he hasn't even killed anybody yet. So you're going back to do it again. Why didn't you just take away the ending, the last 2 minutes of the movie? I just thought that was really weird, really strange. I didn't get why that was there. So overall, this one, I think, in terms of the two funny, cheesy horror movies I just watched, Chopping Mall and Slaughter High, I like Chopping Mall a little more because it didn't have that ending. But besides the ending, this is fun, but I think it also is marked down a tiny bit just because it is very similar to Friday the 13th in terms of the score, in terms of how things are placed. But it's still a fun time. It's still fun and enjoyable. It's just not as... I didn't like it as much as Chopping Mall, but it's still a fun, enjoyable time, and I enjoyed it for the most part, besides the last 2 minutes of the movie.